the young, and the restless spoilers. Michael was resolute in his mission to put Jordan behind bars, driven by a sense of justice that burned fiercely within him. No matter the cost, he was determined to see this through. Victor, however, vehemently disagreed with Michael's plan. He believed that there were better ways to handle the situation, but he was unable to sway Michael's iron will. Cole and Michael, both young and strong, knew that physically overpowering Victor, an elderly man with numerous health issues, would be an easy task. The situation reached a boiling point when Michael, exasperated and out of options, decided to take a drastic step. "If you don't step aside, Victor, you'll get hurt," Michael warned, his voice low and menacing. Victor stood his ground, refusing to budge, hoping to dissuade Michael from this reckless path. But Michael's patience had worn thin. With no other recourse, he drew back his fist and landed a solid punch on Victor's face. The impact was immediate and severe. Victor crumpled to the ground, unconscious. For a moment, a wave of fear washed over Michael. Had he just delivered a fatal blow? The weight of what he had done began to sink in. "Call 911. Michael shouted at Cole, panic lacing his voice. "Get Victor to the hospital, now." Cole, shaken but quick to act, grabbed his phone and dialed emergency services. As he relayed the situation to the dispatcher, Michael turned his attention to Jordan. There was no time to waste. He swiftly handcuffed her, ensuring she couldn't escape. Michael's heart pounded in his chest as he looked down at Victor's prone form. He knew that this act had severed any remaining ties between them. Their relationship, already strained, was now irreparably broken. The repercussions of his actions would be severe, but at that moment, his priority was to ensure that Jordan faced justice. The sound of approaching sirens filled the air, growing louder by the second. Paramedics arrived and quickly assessed Victor's condition, loading him onto a stretcher and into the waiting ambulance. Cole watched, his expression a mix of concern and disbelief. The bond between Michael and Victor, once strong and unbreakable, was now shattered. Victor's condition was critical. The combination of his pre-existing health issues and the trauma of the punch left him in a precarious state. The medical team worked frantically to stabilize him, while Michael's mind raced with the consequences of his actions. He had crossed a line that could not be uncrossed. As Jordan was taken into police custody, Michael felt a hollow victory. He had achieved his goal, but at what cost? The relationship he had with Victor, the trust and respect that once existed, were now in tatters. There would be no reconciliation, no mending of this rift. The damage was done. Victor's influence and connections meant that Michael would undoubtedly face severe repercussions. The old man had powerful allies, and they would not take kindly to this attack. Michael knew that he would have to answer for his actions, and the price would be steep. In the hospital, Victor's condition remained touch and go. The doctors did everything they could, but his frail body struggled to cope with the assault. Cole stayed by his side, guilt gnawing at him. He had been a part of this, albeit reluctantly, and now Victor was paying the price. The news of the incident spread quickly, casting a shadow over Michael's reputation. Friends and colleagues turned their backs on him, unable to condone his violent actions. The community was divided, with some understanding his motives but most condemning the brutality of his approach. Legal consequences loomed large. Victor's family and supporters demanded justice, and Michael found himself at the center of a maelstrom of accusations and legal battles. His career, once promising, was now in jeopardy. The cost of his actions was more than he had ever anticipated. Despite the turmoil, Michael stood by his belief that he had done the right thing. He had protected others from Jordan's harmful influence, even if it meant sacrificing his own future. But the loss of Victor's friendship weighed heavily on him. The man who had once been a mentor and a friend was now an enemy, and there was no turning back. As Michael faced the consequences of his actions, he couldn't help but wonder if there had been another way. A path that didn't lead to violence and betrayal. But in the end, the choices he made were his own, and he would have to live with them. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: the relationship between Michael and Victor was forever changed, marked by a moment of violence that could never be undone.